this whole entire story is insane. So the news broke over this weekend that something went down with the young Scooter. Everyone was trying to find out what was going on, what was happening to him. Many of you may know he actually showed up in the courtroom during the Young Thug trial to show love and support to Young Thug. This Atlanta-based rapper has some really successful songs. Unfortunately, his 39th birthday was this weekend, and he passed on his 39th birthday. And the circumstances, if you don't know about it, are absolutely insane. There might be more to this than meets the eye. I'm going to let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat, and we're going to listen to what happened here.
Good evening, and thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Jennifer Bellamy. We are following breaking news right now in the city of Atlanta, where just minutes ago, Atlanta police held a news conference about the death of a 39-year-old man, Kenneth Bailey, also known as rapper Young Scooter. 11 Alive's Cody Alcorn is live for us tonight right outside of Atlanta Police Headquarters. Cody, you just stepped out of that briefing from police. A lot going on tonight. What have you learned?
Well, Jennifer, the main thing we want to set straight here, the lieutenant over homicide with Atlanta police saying they did not, in fact, shoot Young Scooter. They say there were no shots fired during this ordeal tonight on William Nye
This is where
Drive.
it gets crazy.
We have a live look at that scene right now. What Atlanta police say did happen this evening is that they were responding to a call from a home there on William Nye Drive involving a disturbance with weapons. As officers got on scene, they got reports that there was a woman involved in this, possibly shots fired, and that she was taken back into the home. However, at this hour, they cannot find that woman. What they did find in the home were two male suspects. One of those males returned from the home after running away. That second suspect never returned, and we're told as he was making his way from that home, he actually jumped 2 fences. It was during one of those jumps he landed and somehow broke a leg. Some were hearing initial reports it was a femur. Again, we don't know the details of exactly the injuries, but tonight the medical examiner says a cause and manner of death have not been confirmed. But again, this is now confirmed to be Bailey, a based rapper here in Atlanta known as Young Scooter. While there are reports coming in from across the country tonight that Atlanta police shot this rapper, they say that is in fact not true. And the GB.
And again, this is why we wait for the actual news to be reported. Like, especially when it's someone's life and someone passing, people are so quick to pass judgment. Y'all know how this goes. Anytime the police are involved and there's a black man involved, everyone automatically assumes that it went down. Right? And that wasn't the case here, unfortunately. And when it comes to running for the police, y'all know how I feel about it. I've talked about it several times here. We talked about compliance. A lot of people don't want to hear it. When you think about not running from the police, this is not the situation you think is going to happen. You think worst case scenario. You don't think you're going to jump a fence and break your leg. It's the wildest thing, but we'll keep going with the story. So sad, man.
FBI has been requested to that scene that you're looking at, William Nye Drive, to give a third-party investigation. But again, to walk you through, there's a lot of confusion tonight with this story. APD responded to that home involving a weapons dispute. At some point, they got a report shots were fired, and again, a woman might have been taken in the home when officers got there. They did not find that. They say those 2 men ran from the home. One returned to that house. The other one, who was Young Scooter, again, jumped 2 fences, and during that run over those fences, he fell, and what we heard originally was fractured or broke his femur. He was rushed to Grady, where he died there in the ER.
So he broke his femur.
Again,
That's
a lot
wild,
to still
man.
uncover on this situation, but Atlanta police wanted to make it very clear tonight. They are saying their officers did not fire a weapon, and that Young Scooter died as he was fleeing from that scene on William Nye Drive. Of course, for his family, a heartbreaking situation and a very active investigation going on out there, not only with Atlanta police, but also with the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. They will do an independent investigation and release those findings in the coming weeks or months. But Jennifer, a busy night in Atlanta, and of course, this news hitting the industry, music industry, very hard as news is spreading across the country about Young Scooter's death, reportedly on his 39th birthday.
All right, Cody Alcorn reporting for us tonight on certainly a complicated situation there. Cody, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I see a lot of y'all talking about this in the comments. And again, let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat about this. Is there more to this than meets the eye? We'll have to see what the circumstances were and what the evidence was around this situation, because this is just, again, not something you think is going to happen when you're running from the police. Is it probable? We're going to listen to a medical examiner here shortly and see what their take is on this.
A developing story now out of the Atlanta area. Several agencies now involved in the investigation into the death of an Atlanta rapper after police say he died while running from officers. Take a look here. This tweet from the New York Post highlighting all of that, saying, quote, rapper Young Scooter dead on his 39th birthday in a freak accident while fleeing Atlanta police. A lot going on here, so let's bring in Lindsay Tuman, joining us live at the headquarters for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation with the latest. Good morning, Lindsay. Obviously, a lot known and a lot still left to figure out here.
A lot of questions surrounding this case, and that's exactly why Atlanta police asked the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to step in and handle this investigation. They say this all started when that man was fleeing from police when they were trying to surround a home. A large police presence filled the area around William Nye Drive in southeast Atlanta Friday night.
Officers responded to a dispute with a weapon. It was advised in the call remarks that shots were fired and a female was dragged back into the location.
When officers got on the scene, they say they knocked on the
Terrible.
door. A man answered, then immediately shut the door on officers.
The officers then established a perimeter. During the process of establishing the perimeter, 2 males fled out of the rear of the house. 1 male returned back into the house. The other male jumped 2 fences as he was fleeing.
Investigators say when they looked.
Are y'all buying it? Stop the cap. Let me know in the comments. Are y'all buying this? I don't know. They're saying 2 guys ran out of the building. One guy was like, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm going to go back. Young Scooter, on the other hand, he wasn't feeling it. He's like, no, it's my birthday. I'm out of here. I'm not trying to deal with this BS. And he was gone. And he broke his leg jumping the fence. We'll see.
Located the man, they found him injured.
There was no indication of anyone being shot. This appears that there was, when he fell,
there's no indication.
Fracture, injuries to the leg, which caused the bleeding.
The 39-year-old was taken to Grady Memorial Hospital, where he later died. There have been a lot of questions over what happened on social media, which is part of the reason Atlanta police called in the GBI to investigate the incident.
And this is why we're here doing this press conference, to put out there that the Atlanta Police Department has not been involved in any shootings tonight. And the incident on William Nye, there was not a shooting at all.
So again, when we listen to police statements, I'm very critical of what the police say, because the police are very calculated on the words that they use. Keep in mind, he said what?
Right. And so what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
He said no evidence of a shooting. Why would he say that? Not once, but twice. Let's go back to this real quick and listen to what he's saying.
Doing this press conference to put out there that the Atlanta Police Department has not been involved in any shootings tonight. And the incident on William Nye, there was not a shooting at all.
So he said the Atlanta police were not involved in the shooting. Again, words mean things, especially when it's coming out of the mouth of a police officer.
Well, at this time, the GBI does confirm that Atlanta police called them in to aid in this investigation, but there haven't been any other further updates at this time. Of course, a developing story that we're staying on top of over here. And that's the latest from Atlanta. I'm Lindsay Tuman. Back to you.
All right, Lindsay, thank you so much. And of course, we'll stay on the top of that story here and bring you updates. We appreciate you taking the time to join us.
All right, so now let's listen to the medical examiner and hear exactly what happened to young Scooter when he got to the hospital and how he passed.
Well, tonight the
on his
GBI
birthday.
is labeling the death of Atlanta rapper Young Scooter as an in-custody death. His real name is Kenneth Edward Bailey.
Oh, so the story gets more interesting. It was an in-custody death. Don't let me find out they let this man bleed out.
Well, tonight, the GBI is labeling the death of Atlanta rapper Young Scooter as an in-custody death. His real name is Kenneth Edward Bailey, originally from Walterboro, South Carolina, but making a name for himself in the music industry in Atlanta. Condolences from some of the biggest artists continue to pour in. Rapper Meek Mill posting on X, RIP Young Scooter, an ATL generational leader that helped keep a lot of energy pumping out and into ATL. Prayers for your kids, family, and whole Free Bands family. As many continue to remember him, there are some questions still. How Young Scooter ended up dying after being pursued by Atlanta police last night. 11 Alive's Cody Alcorn is live outside APD headquarters. And Cody, despite initial unconfirmed reports that spread like wildfire, APD says their officers never fired a shot.
That's what they say.
That's right, Angelina. Now, what I can tell you is the only injury mentioned by APD was to Young Scooter's leg. They say he fell after jumping over a couple of fences. Now, just hours ago, I spoke to an orthopedic surgeon to get some context to how a leg injury could possibly lead to death.
This is a medical examiner.
This was the scene on Friday
surgeon,
night
excuse
in
me.
the 200 block of William Nye Drive in the Lakewood neighborhood in southeast Atlanta. Police responding to a 911 call. APD Homicide Commander Lieutenant Andrew Smith.
Officers responded to a dispute with a weapon. It was advised in the call remarks that shots were fired and a female was dragged back into the location.
As officers tried to...
Okay, so again, the initial call was they heard shots, right? Somebody heard shots. They called. There's a female. They took her back inside. We don't know what happened to her.
Make contact with anyone in the home.
2 males fled out of the rear of the house.
APD says one of those men was Kenneth Bailey, better known as rapper Young Scooter. Lieutenant Smith says Bailey jumped 2 fences before officers caught up to him.
When officers located him on the other side of the fence, he appeared to have suffered an injury to his leg. There was no indication of anyone being shot. This appears that there was, when he fell, some type of fracture injury to the leg.
It's crazy.
Which caused the bleeding.
Possibly fracturing or breaking his femur, which orthopedic surgeon Dr. Craig Weil says isn't impossible.
Well, the femoral artery is quite large, and it could, if you broke your femur and it broke badly enough, the ends of the femur fracture could be sharp enough to cut the artery.
As for the fall,
It's
It'd have
true.
to be a very hard fall.
something you don't often see.
No, you don't. It's a relatively rare injury to have a femoral artery death. It's only about 10 to 15% of traumas, so it's not
10
very
to
high.
15%. But it happens, apparently.
The Fulton County Medical Examiner says right now the cause and manner of death for Young Scooter is listed as undetermined. Of course, an autopsy is planned if it's not already been conducted. Now, the GBI is investigating this in-custody death, Angelina, and of course, the autopsy results will hinge a lot on how they rule this investigation. Live in downtown Atlanta, Cody Alcorn, 11 Alive News.
Yeah, so that's the story. Again, cause of death is undetermined. The medical examiner said, hey, I don't know. I'm waiting to hear from Patrick Labatt on this one. I'm waiting to hear from, no, Fanny's not involved, but I'll bring her name up anyway. I'm waiting to hear from Fannie Willis. We're going to make sure we have the right determination here. Something isn't adding up. The more I listen to this, the more I think about it. Could it be something as simple of, yeah, it was just a freak accident on this man's birthday after someone reported that there were gunshots? Maybe. I'm just not a person who believes in coincidences, but maybe you guys do. Let me know what you think about this in the comments and in the chat. I'm with most of y'all on this one. Something ain't adding up. But hey, crazier things have happened, right? Yep, that had to be the case. Grady is a top tier trauma center. Agreed. He was not treated in a timely manner. And I love how they kind of avoided the, what did they say? The quote unquote death in custody. Is that what they called it? I want to go back to the beginning and listen to this one more time.
Well, tonight the GBI is labeling the death
Just
of
the
Atlanta
beginning.
rapper Young Scooter as an
You would think
in-custody death. His
the
real
police
name
don't give
is
a
Kenneth
ish
Edward
about
Bailey,
when you're in custody.
Originally from Walterboro, South Carolina, but making a name for himself in the music industry in Atlanta. Condolences from some of the biggest artists continue to pour in. Rapper Meek Mill posting on X, R.I.P. Young Scooter, an
Anything
ATL
involving police, I
generational
always
leader
question.
that helped
But when
keep
it comes
a
to
lot of
arteries, it's very
energy
deadly and you bleed out
pumping
fast. I agree.
Into ATL. Prayers for your kids, family, and whole Free Band's family. As many continue to remember him, there are some questions still. How Young Scooter ended up dying after being pursued by Atlanta police last night. 11 Alive's Cody Alcorn is live outside APD headquarters. And Cody, despite initial unconfirmed reports that spread like wildfire, APD says their officers never fired a shot.
Custody and death. Yeah.
That's right, Angelina. Now, what I can tell you is the only injury mentioned by APD was to Young Scooter's leg. They say he fell after jumping over a couple of fences. Now, just hours ago, I spoke to an orthopedic surgeon to get some context to how a leg injury could possibly lead to death.
It's not that hard to understand. But yeah, they said custody and death. I read they put him in the squad car and then took him back out, and it took the ambulance 35 minutes to arrive. Yeah, if you're moving around on that leg, just your leg moving around, you could be nicking and cutting your artery depending on the severity of the break. So, boy, that's tough. So in custody death means he was locked up and died. They should have rushed him to the hospital. Well, I mean, you're going to get in handcuffs if you're running away from the police. Did they have to cuff him? I don't know. I mean, could they have seen that his leg was broken? Possibly. It's hard to tell, man. I always hate these stories, and he lost his life, it seems like, for no reason.